one of the quotes is, "This God who created the universe does not work in a monolithic way. His order is varied. It is the threefold but one. His work shows diversity. This God loves order and variety together." And so the threefold way that he describes that creation takes place is that God first issues direct decrees. So let there be light. He then works. So he's separating the light. He's from darkness. He's separating the waters. There's an action going on within it. And then the third thing he does is he uses the activity of the creatures themselves. So he causes them to produce vegetation and produce within itself. So it was interesting because he's trying to show these threefold ideas that occur. And the largest one that we can look to very easily is that God speaks. The word is the creative venue, which we then get affirmed in John 1. And the Spirit is almost enlivening. There's that kind of presence in the story. You have to think like a Jewish person and read the account of creation within that framework, because it's easy to go, well, that doesn't, if he were an American, he would write it like this, and then I would be able to defend it. That's not how you read Old Testament literature. You have to understand there's a poetic flow to it as well. So those were kind of some of the ideas that I saw show up in creation. I don't know if you have any ideas.
No, it's just you have this symmetry that's happening. There's this poetry about the way that it's all being done. There's this, if I remember correctly, I'm trying to think now of how it was worded, but a lot of times, look, you can make an argument that there's this literalistic, scientific way in which all of these things could have been brought about. I'm not going to argue one way or another about that. I would say something to the effect of, if that's true, that's fine. But what is also true is that there's a poetry to what's going on, too. And one of the things that I'm really coming to understand is that the Bible is for the complete person. So there's a literal characteristic about the nature of man and what it means to operate and be fundamental in the world. There's also symbolic aspects of things. There's poetry when it comes to stuff like music and song and the importance and purpose of that. There's also all these different other things that the literature itself is going to speak to. So when we have this from the formless void, all things are brought about into creation, and we start seeing all three of them being there. God the Father being that will to bring it about, or the thought, the direction, and the purpose, that the kind of like the soul, so to speak, like within Christian speak. And then you have everything physical being physically made through the physical Son. Whether he had a body at that time or not doesn't matter, because he becomes the physical incarnation of God here on earth. He is that physical presence of God among man. And so you have the physical things being made through that physical personage of who Jesus is. And then you have that idea of the Spirit hovering over absolutely everything, being ever present in what's going on, surveying, inspiring, encouraging, like we have when we have all three of them showing up when we covered on Easter, with Christ being up on the cross, God being the one that nailed him up there, and the Spirit being, or the Father being the one that nailed him up there, and then the Spirit being the one to encourage him and keep him there, because he could have gotten down at any single time. You see that same kind of poetry, the same kind of presence, the same kind of relationship showing up here in the creation story as well. So it's not just only at that moment. It's sort of like we see it happening at that moment of the crucifixion, which is the culmination as well as the nexus point of the entire purpose of what God's plan was at all to begin with. And then we see all of that happening at the very beginning as well. And I would assume whatever the end looks like, we're going to see all of them there again in the same roles, doing the same things again, because he is the Alpha and the Omega. He is the end from the beginning, and that middle nexus point where they cross over from that center point in history to be going off into the future and coming from the past in, if you kind of see what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah. One of the terms I've read that I liked for the Father, because there's this idea like he's in charge and he's ordering things. Yes, but no, because it's not a hierarchy. It can't be that interpenetrating relationship if it's a hierarchy. But he is causal. I liked that. And so there's this initiating part of what the Father does. And then you see the Son taking the action of it, making the cause of the Father known and expressed in creating. And then the Spirit has a movement, almost an awakening power to him in the picture of this creation. That's what you see. Well, as the story builds, you see just hints and flickers of this, and then you get into the New Testament and you look at the salvation experience, and you have God who initiates this from before time, and you see Christ entering into a physical form in order to enact and express the cause of the Father, and then the Spirit is the one who will indwell and move and build upon what God initiated, Christ fulfilled, and the Spirit enlivens. It's the complete picture, like you're saying. It is Genesis 1. And you can see that in such a fuller way. They are connected. It matters to know both ends of that story.